The Texas Commission on Environmental Quality says Robstown area water still has higher levels of arsenic. Local officials disagree. Starbase commissioners vote in favor of a major land expansion surrounding Boca Chica Highway. And a Victoria food bank receives over 2,000 dozen eggs from a state settlement. This is South Texas Midday. I'm Rob Boskamp. Thank you for joining me on this Thursday, February 19th. State officials say a Robstown area water system could face another drinking water violation from the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality. A recent test by TCEQ showed arsenic levels above the federal safety limit. A water sample collected last month from the Nueces County Water Control and Improvement District Number 3 showed arsenic levels of 0.0115 milligrams per liter. In comparison, the federal safety limit for drinking water is 0.01 milligrams per liter. A TCEQ spokesperson said in a report that the state was notified of the result on February 13th. They are now reviewing the system's compliance for the first quarter of this year. Marcus Alanis, general manager for Nueces County Water Control and Improvement District Number 3, told 3 News he has heard about the state's second test result, but the district has not yet received official notice. He said that the state took one sample in December and another last month, and that district officials had just been notified about the first sample when the second one was taken. The district conducted its own independent test earlier this month. According to a lab report provided to local media, a water sample collected on February 11th showed arsenic levels of 0.0082 milligrams per liter, below the federal safety limit. Chris 6 News reports during Wednesday's Robstown City Council meeting that Alanis spoke during public comment to address council members and provide an update on the water situation. He explained they are working on ways to mitigate the problem and make adjustments to the plant, but stated that the water is safe to drink. The Rio Grande Valley Business Journal reports that the city of Starbase is moving forward with plans to annex over 7,100 acres of land that surrounds Boca Chica Highway after officials voted in favor of the decision on Wednesday. That would increase the size of Starbase from about 927 acres to about 8,000 acres this year. Much of that land is owned by the state and federal governments as part of the Boca Chica Wildlife Refuge. SpaceX already owns large parts within the annexation footprint, along with other private property owners. Now the city must notify all property owners about the decision and hold a public hearing. The Rio Grande Valley Business Journal is in partnership with KEDT. 25 News Now reports the food bank of the Golden Crescent in Victoria received thousands of eggs on Wednesday. The about 2,700 dozen eggs were delivered to the local food bank as part of a settlement with one of Texas's largest egg producers. Attorney General Ken Paxton finalized an agreement with Wharton County-based Cal Maine Foods, which is sending more than 2 million eggs to food banks across the state. The settlement also prohibits Cal Maine from raising egg prices during future disasters. Following allegations, the company sharply increased prices during the COVID-19 pandemic. Locally, the Food Bank of the Golden Crescent will distribute the eggs to partner agencies across the 11 counties it serves. The group of small nuclear reactors could provide power to the Texas grid. KEDT's Joe Smikle has more details.
Texas has become one of the main testing grounds for small modular nuclear reactors, SMRs, and it's happened in less than 3 years after Governor Greg Abbott made the announcement of the creation of the Texas Advanced Nuclear Reactor Working Group. These small nuclear reactors would be able to help provide power to the state's grid, while at the same time bringing in investments and jobs. This new generation of modular reactors are designed to be shipped in pieces for on-site assembly. Supporters say the reactors could provide reliable electrical power with lower emissions. Currently, there are 2 different types of reactors in the works. Critics claim that the technology has not been proven it can be built on time and at a cost that would make economic sense. For KEDT News, Joe Smikle.
Today, the University of Texas System Board of Regents will consider new standards on how colleges teach controversial topics. KERA's Bill Ziebel reports it follows conservative state laws focusing on what students need to know about a subject versus what professors say is needed for a quality education.
The guidance instructs professors to balance freedom in the classroom with omitting, quote, controversial topics and controversies that are not germane to the course. It comes as the state asserts more control over what's taught in public universities. UT El Paso political science student Paula Martinez testified during a higher education committee hearing last year that she had to take critical race theory and gender identity unrelated to her field.
I believe college should be about critical thinking, not ideological conformity. That's not education, it's indoctrination.
Opponents of the new standard say they'll limit a student's education and violate academic freedoms. I'm Bill Ziebel in Dallas.
and 1964 United States was deeply divided. There was a backdrop of fear and grief. The nation was still reeling from the assassination of John F. Kennedy. The Cold War was raging. The Civil Rights Act had become law, and there was a presidential election. And in the middle of the moment was First Lady Lady Bird Johnson. Texas Public Radio's David Martin Davies reports she launched an effort to heal America with a journey into the deep southern states.
Just before dawn on October 6, 1964, at Union Station in Washington, D.C., a train called the Lady Bird Special chugged down the tracks and soon made its first of many whistle stops in Alexandria, Virginia.
Alexandria has been chosen as the first stop by one of the greatest campaigners in America, and I'm very proud to announce that I am her husband.
That was President Lyndon Johnson, sworn into office just 10 months earlier under tragic circumstances, and in less than a month he would have his own presidential election. Johnson then stepped back, and what some called his greatest asset, First Lady Lady Bird Johnson, took the lead with a historic campaign train journey through the southern states.
I'm going into the South on this whistle stop trip because I am proud of the South, and I am proud that I am part of the South.
It was the first solo whistle-stop tour by a First Lady, and over the next 4 days, she would give 45 speeches.
Well, this campaign train, the Lady Bird Johnson who emerges, I think will surprise people. She's courageous. She's compassionate.
Shannon McInnes-Schmidt has written a new book about the journey, You Can't Catch Us, Lady Bird Johnson's trailblazing 1964 campaign train and the women who rode with her. She said, in a sense, Lady Bird was being sent into hostile territory.
The South is very much seething at President Johnson for signing the Civil Rights Act, and partly because he was from the South. He's being called a traitor to the South.
McInnes-Schmidt said the whistle stop was about more than helping LBJ win the election. Polls showed that he had a commanding lead over the Republican candidate, Arizona Senator Barry Goldwater.
It was a lot about not leaving anyone behind and not leaving the South behind. And she said she didn't know how many votes she would get or how many minds that she would change, but at least they wouldn't lose by default.
And Lady Bird defended the Civil Rights Act by promoting the idea of a new South for the future, one that would leave Jim Crow behind. Here are her remarks at Ashland, Virginia.
Never stand on the sidelines. When I look at the hundreds of students like this, I like to recall the words of Virginia's own Thomas Jefferson. I like the dreams of the future better than the history of the past.
And at every campaign stop, there was an ever-present sense of foreboding, particularly when some would jeer at Lady Bird and call her names like Blackbird because of her support for civil rights, but she didn't back down.
My friends, this is a country of many viewpoints, and I respect your right to express your own. Now it's my turn to express mine. Thank you.
On November 3, 1964, Johnson won a landslide victory over Republican Goldwater. Did the Lady Bird Special have a hand in that? The Deep South was already moving hard to anti-civil rights Goldwater. The tour didn't reverse that, but of the 8 states Lady Bird visited, Johnson carried 3, Virginia, North Carolina, and Florida. And on January 20th, as Johnson recited the presidential oath, Lady Bird held the Bible, starting a tradition which continues. I'm David Martin Davies in San Antonio.
And that is the latest news and information on South Texas Midday. I'm Rob Boskamp. Your community arts calendar and more is on the way.